Okay, today we're talking about the one relationship that is most profoundly affected when we're changing in midlife, and also the one nobody prepared us for.
Marriage, that long-term partnership, whatever yours might look like.
And we're going to get real because this one deserves the interruption.
All right, so welcome back. I'm Ann, and on the topic of marriage, I've been married for close to 28 years, and those years include biggest and best periods of self-evolution
Ah,
development.
I love it. And I'm Melissa. And in addition to being married for almost 25 years, I've had the privilege of working with clients as they navigate this exact conversation.
So we want to say this up front. And even though Melissa's a therapist, we are not giving marital advice.
Nope, this isn't therapy. What it is just real, honest, research-backed conversation about what happens in the long-term partnerships when we hit midlife. And it's hitting, at least Ann and I.
Well, let's talk about the US divorce rate.
Oh, here we go.
So the divorce rates had the sharpest rise among people in their 50s and 60s. And it's often referred to as the gray divorce revolution.
We are not gray, mind
We're
you.
not, we are not. But this to me really hits home because in the past year and a half, I've had 3 close friends, all in different social circles,
Mhm.
who've gotten divorced. So people in their 50s today are at nearly triple the rate of divorce as seen in the 1990s. And this is the group that is a major driver for this great trend of divorce. Often, this is not because something went wrong, but because something changed. And change without the right tools can break things.
Yeah, or, and this is what we're building towards, change with the right awareness and with the right tools can create the best and deepest, most real version of a partnership that you've ever had.
And that's the goal, is to evolve together because that's necessary. So let's get into this.
Okay, let's get into it. So, you guys, what does midlife do to a marriage? Let me start by painting you a picture because I'm a very visual person. 2 people meet, and they're in their 20s or maybe they're in their early 30s. They fall in love with the people that they are at that moment. And they build a beautiful life, careers, kids, houses, routines.
And then midlife hits. And people start to change, both people in the relationship, sometimes at that same pace, and sometimes in the same direction, and sometimes not.
Right. So you're both changing in parallel, but you're not necessarily changing together. You're changing in your own lanes. And when that happens, at some point you look up and wonder, who the hell is this person next to me?
And then they're probably looking at you wondering that exact same thing.
Right. Because the things that attracted you in your 30s, maybe it's security, stability, shared life structure, right? Those same things that might start to feel confining are the things that you see in your 40s and 50s.
And it isn't a character flaw. It's development. It's actual human developmental psychology.
I
People
love
get
that.
challenged.
I love that you're bringing up psychology because it's so important and we love psychology.
Did you know I double majored in college and one of the majors was psychology?
I did not know that. Ugh. See, we're learning things every day. We're evolving with each other. I just want to comment Eric Erickson's stages of development because you brought up psychology or Carl Jung's midlife individuation. There's this whole body of work, right? And in midlife, we naturally turn inward. We start asking, who am I really? What do I actually want? Am I living my life, my best life? Or am I living someone else's expectation of my life?
And if your partner isn't on the same page, and if you do not intentionally work to grow together, then the old normal might create friction.
Right. And like everything, we're going to make a couple points about friction because in the work that I've been privileged to do, I've seen 4 recurring themes in midlife marriages. So I thought it might be helpful to go through them.
All right. So friction point 1.
So it's all about growth, right? And we're going to call these gaps. So the growth gap. So one partner, this is where one partner is actively pursuing growth. Maybe it's a new career, a new passion, or a new sense of self, right? They start doing maybe golf tournaments, or there's this new high rocks or whatever you call it, fitness trend. Maybe they start traveling all over the world. But the other is really still comfortable with how things are. And that growing partners starts to feel like unsupportive, right? They feel like, I want them to come with me, but the stable partner feels abandoned or maybe criticized or left out.
And I know I've seen people in the legal profession, women who have been practicing law forever and married for an extremely long time, basically having the feeling of he doesn't see me and I've changed, but maybe he still treats me like who I was when I was 25 or 30.
Right. And the partner often doesn't understand what happened because they loved you for who you were and they're not sure what to do with the new person you're becoming.
So, friction point 2, we have the growth gap.
Yes.
And then what's friction point number 2?
So there's this growth, and do they see you for what you're growing with? This is the visibility battle. It's not a gap. It is a gap, right? Maybe you feel like you're not seen. So maybe you start demanding, I want to be seen in this new version of myself, fully, honestly, without the roles that you've been playing. And your partner, who's been relating to your role, maybe as a mother, provider, maybe the program manager of the house or supporter, they don't know how to relate to your actual self.
Because for years we performed our roles, and whether it was the house project manager, the emotional labor champion, or everything to everyone. And then one day it was like, well, actually, this isn't fully me.
Right. So, and you tell them about friction point 3, because this is the one I don't want to talk about.
Okay, that's a really crappy move. Let's just say that. You talk about all the framework, you talk about all the points, you talk about all the action items, and then you stick me with this one. So friction point 3, I'm just going to have an out of body experience and pretend that I'm not talking about this. Is the intimacy evolution. And I mean this broadly, not just physical intimacy.
So that matters too.
But emotional intimacy. So what you need from a partner in their 20s versus your 40s is going to be completely different. I mean, that's totally natural.
Right. In your 20s and 30s, intimacy was often shared activities, shared goals. Build the life, raise the kids, get new puppies, travel. In our 40s, we start to crave maybe some deeper emotional connection because we want to be seen, we want to be known. And that requires a whole new depth and kind of conversation.
Which can be terrifying for some people.
Mm-hmm. So let's go to the friction point number 4. And this is the renegotiation of roles, right? And this is the division of labor. And again, this one actually comes up a ton. And it's not just midlife, but in a lot of couples conversations, because the division of labor and the power dynamics within a relationship are the unspoken rules of your marriage or your partnership. And all of these get renegotiated in midlife because the people that you were when you set these rules or these guidelines, they don't exist anymore.
And quite honestly, some of those rules probably aren't needed anymore, right? Because like if the kids are out of the house, then you're not really the caretaker anymore, or the one who's the house manager if it's just the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
But despite that, when the rules that you set don't exist or don't need to exist anymore, I'm sure it can feel like a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we change the rules, does the marriage still hold?
Right. And the answer is absolutely yes. But only if you're willing and open to renegotiate in a conscious way.
All right. So let's talk about the 3 paths here.
Oh, yes. And this is where we go back to our frameworks, right? Because when a long-term partnership hits midlife friction, there's really only 3 paths you can go.
Well, walk us through them.
There's the first path, which is you're consciously evolving together. We both commit to growing old together, right? We're continuously recommitting. And this requires intentional conversation. Sometimes and often it requires professional support. That means counseling, coaching, whatever. You want to be genuinely curious about each other's inner lives and what you each want. It's work, real work. But the couples who do this often describe that their midlife marriage is actually the best version of the marriage that they've ever had.
Because really that performative layer is gone and you know each other at a very deep level.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the first path, and that's the path we want, right? But then there's also this parallel existence where you're almost like roommates, where the couple maybe stops actively investing in the relationship. They just coexist. They're not unhappy, but they're also not intimate either. And I mean like emotionally intimate. And so it's like, okay, we're roommates with history. And this is the most common thing I see in my office. And it's a really slow fade.
Which is its own kind of grief. And let's be real too, it's not going to be a pleasant existence to just living a parallel life with somebody.
No, it's not. And it's not healthy for either partner. And then the only other path we can go, right, is path 3, and that's really honest uncoupling. And some partnerships or marriages don't survive midlife reinvention, right? And it's not because someone failed all the time. Some people make bad choices, but it's not always that. It's just because two people have simply grown incompatible, and they go in different directions. And, sometimes this uncoupling is the most loving and courageous thing people can do for each other, to acknowledge that and part with integrity.
And this is worth saying clearly that divorce or separation in midlife does not automatically mean that the relationship was a failure or that you're a failure. Sometimes it's the most evolved and honest decision that two people can make, and the best decision for themselves.
Absolutely. And we've seen it. I mean, and both of us in different friendships that we have, like it's so beautiful to see, when they come out on the other side as like the best version of themselves. So we're not here to judge any of these paths, right? We're just here to help clarify and name that we see that there are paths, and you can choose consciously like where you are and what you need to do to get on the path you want.
So let's talk about practical language in terms of the conversation with the partner. Because, honey, I'm having a midlife evolution and our relationship needs to be renegotiated. At its core architecture right now, maybe it's not the best of it.
I would be like, go back to your business meeting and talk business talk with somebody else, right? No, lead with love, right? Always lead with love.
So, like, if we're not going to go with I'm having a midlife evolution and our relationship needs to be renegotiated, then what does somebody say?
Well, let me share some conversation starters that I've used with some of my clients. And sometimes when I say some of these things to my kids, they're like, don't therapy me, but this is real, right? Here's one. And you can do this with not just a partner, but you start with love. I love you. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about who I am, who I'm becoming, or who I want to become. And because I love you so much, I want you to be part of this journey. And I really want to find some time with you to really talk about this. Low threat, high invitation.
I like that because it's not like, oh, we have a problem. It's like, hey, I want you in on this journey with me.
Correct. Or maybe the parallel lives one might be like, I love you, but I feel like we're living parallel lives right now, and I miss you. I don't want to become your permanent roommate. So how can we reconnect?
And that's vulnerable and that's real when somebody goes down that path.
Absolutely. And it works. Or then there's 3, the third path, right? Again, lead with love. I love you, and I know I've been changing a lot and doing a lot of evolving, and I'm guessing that might be confusing or even scary to you. Can you share with me what it's been like for you? I really want to understand. And that, everyone, is more of curiosity versus defensiveness. Always be curious of how they're feeling versus defensive. And let me just say, for my husband listening or our husbands listening, this doesn't mean we're perfect at this, because we're not, but this is how we can help others. Doesn't mean we're perfect ourselves.
And so basically what you're saying is ask the partner what it's been like for them if their spouse is evolving or changing or seeking out different things in terms of their passions or their careers or their hobbies. So thinking about it from the perspective of what is it like for the other person,
Mhm.
that's a game changer and very helpful
Mhm.
and very healthy.
Right. Because they have feelings too, right? They have feelings about your changes. They have feelings about how they're feeling, and those feelings are valid and deserve the airtime to discuss it.
All right. So that was a lot to unpack. And let me just say, we have awesome husbands.
We do.
We have awesome, awesome
Thanks,
husbands.
guys. I love you.
We do love them. And I think both of them really like, we have so much in common with them in terms of like just traveling, things we enjoy doing. And they're both funny as hell. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't enjoy cooking. My husband enjoys cooking, and so does yours. I don't. To
I
be honest,
completely agree.
let's just lay that on the line.
And I have to say that one of the biggest gifts, and I think your husband's this for you too, there is not a single day that goes by where I am not like laughing my ass off because my husband is so freaking funny or sarcastic or does something that I just like lose it.
Yeah, he's pretty funny.
He is pretty funny. All right. So let's talk action items.
Yes, action items.
So we always have the framework and the action items. So action items for this week.
So let's call it, and it seems timely in this day and age, the State of the Union conversation, right? But we're not going to get political. But 15 minutes, that's it. Where you sit with your partner and you ask each other 3 questions. And
Okay.
Anne's going to tell you the first one.
Okay, so question 1. What's one thing that's been working really well in the relationship lately?
Question 2 is, what's one thing you wish was different?
And question 3, what's one thing you'd like to do together in the next 6 months that we've never done before?
And this has to be with no phones, no distractions, just 15 minutes. You go first or they go first. It doesn't matter. Just open the conversation.
And if the partner says, or your spouse says, I don't want to do this exercise, that's also data and that's information. So note that and then decide what you want to do with it.
Right. And share how it goes, right? If you want, tag us on Instagram or email us the.interruption on Insta or interrupt@midlifeiu.com. We really want to hear your stories.
All right. So for the uncoupled listeners, before we close, we just want to speak directly to the listeners who are single, divorced, or widowed.
Absolutely, because everything that we've talked about today applies to you too, right? Because every relationship you have with a potential partner or with maybe your ex or someone you lost, with your own history of love, is affected by how clearly you understand yourself.
And the work of midlife reinvention is ultimately the work of knowing who you are. And the clearer you are on that, the better equipped you are for every relationship in your life, whether that be a romantic relationship or another type of relationship.
And next week, that's exactly what we're going to talk about.
All right. Once again, that was a big one.
Every episode is a big one. My goodness.
We're deep divers. It's a thing.
It is. But next week is probably my favorite episode in this whole series. And actually in the practice that I do with women, right? Because we're going to talk about the relationship that often gets the least attention and is often the foundation of everything else. And that is what?
Your relationship with yourself.
Yep. Episode 8 is falling in love with yourself first. And it's not what you think it is.
All right. So subscribe, share, leave a review. Every review helps more women find this community. We are Midlife Interrupted and Unfiltered.
Interrupt the narrative.
And live unfiltered.
See you next week.
Next week.